Well, we're in to do the newspapers. Mama V is right here, and today we're doing a great lopsided gender balance.
Is that to say good morning? Well, then good morning to you, Roland. Good morning to Gifty and Apia, host of The Polls, and MFA Apau.
This is not fair. I'm the only male.
Beyond the lockdown. Well, both ladies are working from home.
Yeah, morning. Gifty, how
Hi,
are you?
Good morning.
I'm only surprised you don't have soldiers around you or the Navy or...
They're all on my phone.
I know, right? I know.
Yeah, it's unusual, very unusual to see you ladies very early in the morning.
MFA, are you sitting on the sofa? You look like you're having some McPlan this morning. Why?
Not yet.
You coming to eat McPlan.
All right, ladies, let's get into the newspaper straight away. I have the Ghanaian Times and the Daily Graphic newspaper. Gifty, understand you have the Finder newspaper, and MFA will do the Daily Statesman. So let me just come in first with the Daily Graphic. On the front page, banner headline, 24 hours after stimulus package launch, 8,000 apply for loan. EC outlines safety protocols for voter registration, but of course there's been a reaction from the General Secretary of the NDC on our show yesterday, who says it's just a diversion from the real issues. Atuesian ready to refund 27.5 million Ghana cedis to states. We won't bow to pressure to award contracts, according to Aviation Minister. And the inside pages, special supplement on it. And we know the moon has not been sighted yet. If they do sight it, then tomorrow will be the day. Otherwise, it will be Sunday, whether the moon is sighted or not. That's the education I got this morning. On the back page of the Daily Graphic, construction of Achim Oda Methodist Basic School ICT Center begins, and Takrady Ports Oil Jetty project nearing completion. Let me follow up with the Ghanaian Times front page. Aviation Ministry has no contract with LCB Worldwide Ghana Limited, according to the Minister, Joseph Kofi Ada. Also, nearly 5,000 MSMEs apply for COVID-19 Business Support Fund. Schools not reopening now. Consultations are ongoing on easing restrictions, according to Information Minister. But we've been told to live with the virus. And that's the conversation that we're having on the AM show. How have you imagined your new normal with schools reopening, hotels, everything going back, everybody going back to do business? Have you imagined your life in that new normal? Share it with us later on this morning. There's a bit of a controversial one on the front page of the Times. Coa FS, 8 other herbal products recommended as immune support treatment for COVID-19. But that recommendation is not necessarily coming from the FDA. Is the Center for Scientific Research into Plant Medicine at Mampong, Ekwapim in the Eastern region. So we'll probably spend a bit of time on that. On the back page, Gender Minister inaugurates 3 water projects in Aguna West, and Ghana Missions Abroad donates $100,000 to NMIMR, that's the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research, to assist in its pioneering role in dealing with the coronavirus pandemic. And by way of headlines, that's how it looks like front back the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Shall we hear you, MFA Power, with the Statesman?
His statement says, let me refund 27.5 million Ghana cedis, and that's Atuesian, and he's pleading with a court for mercy in Capital Bank collapse case. This is something that's running through a number of the headlines. And then the back page of the Daily Statesman has football. Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp says, returning to training like first day at school. If you permit me, I have the Business and Financial Times as well, if that is fine. So the front page also says, time to localize all food production, stabilized city. That's the ADB manager. And the back page, don't stigmatize COVID-19 patients. And that's the discussion we're having later this morning that we're all looking forward to. So that's for the Business and Financial Times and the Daily Statesman.
All right, Gifty.
Okay, yeah. I knew you were coming to me, so I was waiting. But Mama V, I love your dress. It's so pretty.
Thank you. That's an Ajua Yabua collection.
I know, right? Okay, so I have the final newspaper. The final newspaper has that story. No decision on schools reopening. Comes with a picture of the information minister with his mask and a hand sanitizer right there. And then it says stakeholder consultations ongoing. That's according to Kojo Pomfuma. And you find that story on page 2. And then it says the Grand Lodge of Ghana donates 100,000 to support COVID-19 isolation and treatment facility. And then there's also a story from Dr. Boaji that says new COVID-19 positive cases and facility admissions declining. That's the Director General of the Ghana Health Service saying. And then we also have this story that you find on most of the newspapers. Founder of Capital Bank ready to refund 27.5 million cedis to the state. And that's what they have on the front page. And this certainly front page, it has the criteria to access the 600 million cedis outlined. It comes with a picture of the head of the board that's taking care of this distribution, and it has details on how you can access that. Then breaks down the story of the Grand Lodge donating 100,000 cedis to support COVID-19 isolation and treatment facility. Then there's digital banking fee waiver extended to June 20. Good news, I believe. If I should I just stick to the headlines, or do you want me to go through with the?
So we'll come back after Roland goes through the headlines that he's got, and then we'll come back and deal with the matters. That I have
for the final newspaper.
Yeah. So I'm sure you all pick a story, and then we can all take a look at it. So let's go to the Daily Guide. Mahama versus Abronye. Police probe Mills' death. So we have Mahama versus Abronye, and then police probe death. It has an attached picture of combined personalities, Abronye, and then the flag bearer of the NDC, former president John Dramani Mahama. Up there we have Atuesian refunds 1.4 million Ghana cedis, and Obinim family wails over bail. Wager residents, though, they're panicking apparently over an aspect or a section of the Wager Dam that seemed to have cracked, and they fear that it could spill subsequently. We all know the annual difficulties that residents or people who have illegally built on the pathways of the Wager Dam tend to face. The aviation minister is replying the Ghana Union of Traders Association, and it is about a contract for disinfection that the Union Traders Association is claiming apparently was diverted from a company to another. Ghana Missions gave Noguchi $100,000 for test kits. That's a good one. On the back page is all about coronavirus soaring Manchester United debts. I don't know how it's going to affect the betting syndicate for Manchester United supporters in Ghana, because their debt level has now increased to £429 million. From 127. I know MFAPA supports Manchester United. I'm just wondering how she's going to feel when the club is not functioning well financially. But I don't know. Let me just do.
As if it's exclusive to Manchester United.
Oh, please, please, relax. We the Chelsea fans, we don't want that thing. Now, let me just.
A financial problem.
With the clubless.
Clubless, yeah. Gifty, once you love soldiers and military and those people, you will not love football. Love football. Gifty.
I love it. I mean, I actually love soldiers.
Yeah, okay. That's a good one, too. Gold Street Business is the last people I'm looking at, and the gateway has been open for all those who have businesses. 600 million Ghana cedi soft loan disbursement period begins, and all eligibility criteria now in the open. And we do know that this number has been up to 1 billion Ghana cedis up for grabs. It's not for free though. Comes with just a little interest rate, as was announced during the briefing on Thursday. I think that'll be it for me. Now, which story is?
All right, Getty, you wanted to go into detail on a particular story?
Well, I find the Atuesian story very interesting, Mama V, and you find it all over.
Yeah.
It's spread across the headlines. Everybody's reporting it. Now, this is important because it has to do with money, essentially. But we also know the buzz that this story created. The tables that it shook, so to speak. So perhaps let's take a look at that, what that story says here. Okay, I don't seem to have the details here in my Finder
Okay,
my copy of the FINA.
Okay, so I'll help you. Whilst you also, I'm sure you have other information around it. It says William Atu Asian, founder of the Defined Capital Bank, who is being held over the collapse bank, has expressed his willingness to refund 27.5 million Ghana cedis back to the state. And this expression was made through his lawyers. And it says that the 27 million represented the amount the state had accused the former managing director of using a business promotion and allegedly dole out to some people. Now, we're told that his representative, that will be his lawyer, Mr. Bonsu, said discussions were ongoing with the state and prayed the court to adjourn the matter for continuation of the said discussions. And we do know what may have happened. According to Mariana Apiaopong, a chief state attorney, it was important that the lawyers bring a detailed proposal as to how they intend giving this money back to the state, and it just continues. So subsequently, we do know how the bank collapsed and all
I just find those, the dynamics of this particular story very interesting. I mean, first of all, people were asking, why is it that we've lost so much money? The state is going to bail out these banks. But at the end of the day, it is still the taxpayers' cedi that is going to be used to bail out these banks and to pay all the people who deposited their monies there. So people were concerned about how much money we're putting in, and they were asking, why aren't there any prosecutions? I mean, why are people just going to walk free? Even if you jail them, will we get our money? So for me, it's a refreshing news that at least it's going to refund some of the money that if the court finds it necessary for him to do so. In these COVID-19 times, we've had a lot of use for money. And so I believe that this is a time that we need all that money. So if the state can get 27+ million, great. But then what happens? And I'm sure people will continue to ask, are the people involved or people who will be found culpable in this going to walk free? Or are they going to be in jail even when they pay? Or do they pay and just walk away?
Yeah.
I mean, that would be an interesting bit. And I don't know how that will help government pay, those whose monies got stuck in there. It will be interesting times ahead as we go into the elections as well.
Yeah, Gipsy, and especially when we've seen this recent conviction of the former NC officials and one security operator. They're refunding the money, but they're also in jail. So, of course, a lot of questions as to what form of punishment does this constitute punishments. Interestingly, it's the same judge who did the earlier conviction of the NCA case, who is also at the center of this one. So it will be interesting to see how this all comes together in the end.
Well, we do have to say that there's a main trial ongoing, and it's with some of the main protagonists. We have the managing director of the former bank, Mr. Fitzgerald Odonko, together with Tete Nete, a former managing director of MC Management Services, also owned by Atu Asian, as well as businesswoman Kate Kwote Papafio, all before courts. And there are 26 counts, and among them conspiracy to stealing and money laundering. So they're not really out of the woods yet. There's an ongoing court trial, and subsequently we're hoping that beyond this redemption, we're also going to see some at least satisfaction for the Ghanaian who keeps speculating that, look, just like what Gifty said, people may have been mentioned and it looks like on the face of it, they may have committed certain acts, but we just have to allow the court to do their work, I think.
Okay. Well, I'm interested in one thing that concerns all of us, the Atu Asian issue. Of course, we've talked about it all day yesterday, but there's this issue on page 2 of the Business and Financial Times, something that concerns us as workers. Layoff numbers, scary, job losses, whilst the city is losing its grips on the dollar. So the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and the TUC are concerned about this particular issue. Well, the times are not ordinary. We are not in normal times, but the number of job losses, I know that you have people who've been talking about this. So the TUC is advocating some sort of work sharing, and then the National Chamber of Commerce is also recommending a follow. I don't know who has not been affected.
I think we lost the sound connection there to MFA Apau.
Yes, by this the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce. Can you hear me?
We can hear you now,
we
yes.
Okay, so that's one issue that I find interesting this morning that we can't stop talking about. There should be other alternatives that we should be looking at as workers. Well, considering the number of job losses that we are.
Sorry.
Well, do you have a difficulty hearing me?
No. You can go ahead. So if you're done, then Gifty will have the space. Yeah, Gifty, you wanted to say?
Okay.
I think that's a very important point that MFR raises. I mean, these coronavirus days are just crazy. You know, initially it starts and you hear, when it started, I had a friend who works in a very, big hotel in the US, and they were laying off people. And gradually we're seeing it come home to us. I mean, we're seeing what's happening within the media circles. We're seeing what's happening elsewhere. People are losing their jobs. People are getting half of their salaries. So that's a very important point. But MFA, when the TEC says work sharing, do they break it down? What do they mean by work sharing? I mean, I don't understand.
Okay, so
I don't think you have the full story, so Roland will look for those details.
All right, so that is on page paragraph 6 of the story, and it says that the TUC, on the other hand, is advocating for work sharing, also known as Kuzabate, which literally means short-time work. Now it continues that the system prevents distressed companies from laying off their workers. Rather, workers are made to reduce the number of hours they work per week. The reduction of working time then allows other workers who otherwise would have been laid off to share the reduced volume of work available. All right, and so
that will come with a cuts in your salary.
Definitely.
As well.
Exactly. Pay cuts. Are you ready for that? And would you rather lose the job entirely, or you're ready for some sort of pay cut? The times that we are in, it looks like all options are supposed to be on the tables, and then we can actually know what to do when it comes to this. So if you have colleagues that you care for, and you would want to work 2 weeks, and your other colleagues also work 2 weeks, and then you take 2 weeks pay, and that's the only option at some point, and that's what we have to explore as workers as well. After all, the times they say are not ordinary.
But we have to put all these into perspective, because by the beginning of this month, the American economy had recorded about 30 million job losses, and just this week. We do know that,
and it keeps rising.
Yes, we do know that there are even middle-class people who now go to food banks. Not a lot of them, but some of them now go to food banks, and we don't have food banks in our country, just to go and eat. It means that because they have to pay their mortgages and the other bills that they have, ultimately it's affected their standard of living. They work for companies that are multinationals, etc. And these multinationals also work in Africa. So definitely we're going to have some of these difficulties. And I believe that's why maybe the 1 billion or 600 million Ghana cedis will come in handy. The caution, though, is companies should not take this money and pay salaries. You rather need to take this and create value so that you can make something to run the company. Yeah.
Oh, but Roland, it's interesting the way you put it. You're not getting any money, but your workers have to be paid. They have children, they have family, they have dependents. If you don't do that, then entire families are going to go down. So what if that's what you need the money for? And well, I don't know. I'm not.
Business is not just about salaries, though, Gifty. Because if you don't run the company, if you run it down in the end by just paying salaries, because there's some form of agreements that workers or employers can go into with their workers, such that you run the company properly. Then, in the end, you can give them something that is worth taking care of your family as well. At this point, you can't eat your cake and have it like this.
We have to do my job online, but I had with a conversation just yesterday, somebody complaining that, the previous month, what was left after he did all the necessary payments was 11 cedis in his accounts. And he was wondering,
what would you do
if he
with
was to get half of his salary, how much would be left in the end? So, even as we think about the sharing, there are still real issues that we're being confronted with. That's my joy.
Just put this in quickly. I think one main concern with this allocation is that how are we going to disperse the money? Will it be, people are concerned that there's going to be, politics when it comes to disbursement. I don't know how funded these concerns are. But I mean, some of the things I've heard people say is that, well, even when it came to sharing of food during the lockdown, there were allegations that the food were being shared to only people who had political party ID cards. So I think that's been a major concern. How do we share this money and make sure that it spreads across people, irrespective of party lines? We'll be kidding ourselves to say that, politics aren't involved when it comes to these things. So we have to face it.
Well, Gifty and MFA, you own businesses, don't you? So at least, please apply. I'm not sure that...
Let's do My Joy Online. We have to boost the Shuto business. Here's myjoyonline.com. Ghana records 217 new cases to bring COVID-19 case count to 6,486 with 1,951 recoveries. So we're inching close to the 2,000 mark for recoveries, but we're also climbing in terms of our total case counts. Teachers should be ready to forego 50% of their salaries if they want to stay home. That's according to Professor Adair. But of course, this week we spoke to the GES. They said they are not considering any pay cut, no job losses with regards to teachers. Because the publication of this video have pushed Apreko, my daughter, to his death. Social media users ask. Power outages hit parts of Ghana. And my mission to expose fake pastors, Kennedy Japan justifies attacks on Obinim. Okay, so this is the angle that we shared yesterday. There's a lot to look forward to. Let me just tease you a little bit with this one. Let's watch. It's a must watch.
Yeah, I know. Gifty is a friend to Kennedy Japan, but it's not a problem.
An interview I still look forward to.
That's a super promo. It's the super promo of the year. But 22, hey. Okay, all right.
Be careful what you say.
Yes.
You do research on you.
Yes. Otherwise,
I tend to have to think to reach over 22 there.
Well, thank you, the two of you. I'm told that from Monday we're with you, as well as Araba Kumsin joining us live.
Pardon?
Don't oversleep, Gifty. I know Gifty. 1 a.m. you're awake, so don't sleep by 5.
Well, I take a break next week, so ladies, it will be just you and Roland. Yeah. Enjoy it.
To where, Mama?
It's a holiday.
She told me she got inspired. 22, and she has only 2 means that she has to go and.
So she's going to get to work
going to breed.
All right, ladies.
More inbreeding.
Enjoy the weekend. See you later. Okay, no, see you both later. Yes.
But you didn't answer. Whose dog is that? He asked you.
That's Emma.
It's mine, no. It's mine.
All right, do enjoy your weekend. We'll see you all right here on Monday, live early morning.
So that's MFR Power and Gifty and Rapia. We've got to do sport. We've got George Adu Jr. doing sport this morning. Stay with us. We'll have that big conversation. Our new normal after sports.